thank you for coming and joining us.
Pleasure.
Or coming and joining me this morning, especially as I know that this is like one day to Christmas when we're recording this. It's like a ridiculous time of the year.
For a retailer.
Yeah,
it is.
It is. So I'm just super grateful that you're here, and that for those who don't know you, I would love you to share who you are, what you get up to, and kind of how or why we meet. What was going on for you?
So as you said, I'm William. I'm a pretty out there, extroverted person, and I like to give. I'm certainly a loud person. I like to come in the room and make you know I'm there. Okay, I'm a large person and a loud person at the same time, and I enjoy the vibrant things in life. But I think for me, sorry, I should also say I own a retail clothing store in Havelock North called Fortify Clothing. Everyone on both cameras, Fortify Clothing, Joel Road. And I also work at Hoover at Clifton Bay doing sales and marketing. So, I've always been the sort of person that works 6 days, round the clock, very, very busy. And that's the way I like it to be. But I think my problem was, because I'm such an ideas person and I'm creative, and I go, that's a great idea, and I want to do this and I want to do that, and sometimes it's that organisation factor that's the fundamental there that I was missing. I think how we actually met was I met you in one of our pop-up clothing stores, and we were talking about my cousin who has had her struggles completely separate to this, more confidence issues and things like that, and how we thought that what you're doing would be amazing for her. And we took your card, and I read your card, and the penny was dropping that this might be more something that would not only just work for her, and it would absolutely work for her, and we talked about why it would work for her. But then when I read more of what you're about, I thought this could also work for me. And so, to try and achieve some of those things, I was always told on all my report cards, great, William's fantastic, he's the life of the room, I just wish he'd shut up and start and concentrate a bit more, or I wish he'd be more organised. And I hear that from my parents, be more organised, and it's all this sort of stuff. But from someone like me, the question wasn't, okay, just turn a switch and be more organised. How does someone like me know how to be organised? What do I need to do to work on myself to be able to unlock that? Because it's not turning on a light switch, it's turning a key, which is a completely different thing. And it's making a life-changing revelation more than just a decision. Because how do we know? We don't know what to do. We don't know what we don't know. So we have to learn it. And that's the key thing. So then when we went over to a cafe and you said, okay, right, William, give me 5 minutes of your time. We're going to go across the road. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to tell you what I'm about, okay? And you're either going to say, Sal, that's fantastic. Well, let's do this. Or you're going to say, no, that's shit. That's not me. I'm not interested. Okay? And that's what I loved, because it was direct, it was matter of fact, it was get over there, let's hear about it. And I walked out of there, burst into tears in my back room and went, my God, in 5 seconds, Sally listened, she heard, she made a structure, she made a plan, and she said, this is how we're going to turn your key. Not turn a light switch on, we're going to turn a key for you. And I went, wow, this is going to be life-changing. And so I said, right, let's do it. And so we jumped on board and we went into it. But I think what I got out of it was far deeper than what I thought I was going to get.
I love the fact, I can't believe that you went away and you cried.
I did. I shut the shop and went out in the back room because Deb had gone for lunch, and I shut the shop and went and had a cry because I just thought I couldn't actually understand how someone could just in 10 minutes fully understand where we were at and what we were doing, and yeah, it was quite amazing.
I think, and I love that because part of what I do and what I do is the fact that so many people have got, and I was thinking about it today, you're a treasure trove. Every single person has got their treasure trove. Mm-hmm. It's all there. You just sometimes need some help to unlock it. And so I think it's amazing that you just used the key today rather than a light switch. The light bulb can go on, But unless we do something with it, unless we actually activate, so what I do, as you know, is put the tools, we put the keys, we put the tools in people's hands so that you can use them, get on and do what you need to do. So just as probably many people have realised that both William and I can talk, and we can talk behind like
This will be edited.
It will be edited, but aside from that, I think because you and I can talk, we can be super busy. So part of what we connected with is I was where you were, like all over the place, trying to be all things to everyone, being here, there and everywhere, and actually getting myself in a bit of a pickle because I was actually not getting anything done well. And I think that's partly where you were. You was like we had the business, and you were doing Hygge, and you were obviously having an amazing time with your partner, who's now your fiance, which is so exciting. But you've got a lot going on, and it was just trying to, I guess, what you really came for was to organise and sort that out so you got clarity. It's almost like you could then put things into compartments in your brain and work through what you needed to work through. So, no, I'm in this compartment now. I'm going to focus, rather than being all over the place, get focused on the business, or focused on my strategy, or focused on my relationship so that I can get engaged, so we can buy the house, so we can get married.
And it's interesting that you say that, because that was probably one of the biggest double revelations. What I thought I was achieving, but it was greater than that, because I mean, I knew that what I was doing, you know, like I love being busy, and I absolutely love with all my heart Hygge and my sales and marketing, all I do. And I love with all my heart my own business, of course, in retail. And retail and hospital have always been a really big part of my life. But I felt like I wasn't doing either of them justice. And as you say, so through what I knew I was going to achieve, I achieved it. The ability to say, right, schedule my time, use the tools, you know, that you taught me in order to manage my schedule, so that when I'm doing Hygge, I'm in Hygge and I'm doing it, I'm giving it my all. But when I'm in Hygge, it's not just all about talking, it's about when I have a great idea, the light bulb goes on and says, okay, write that idea down. Because you're not probably going to remember that idea in 5 minutes, because we're human beings. But you need to be able to go back to that compartment and develop that idea, because Hygge wants that from you. They want your great idea. The guy that you've just talked to has said it's amazing and wants to back you to do that idea, wants you to do it, but you've got to remember to do it, you know, and all those little things. So it was just little tools and little tricks that I was taught by you to do that. In terms of also managing, you know, and then also going to Fortify, the same thing, my own business, and looking at it and fine-tuning things. But with my business, it was another one. My business, because when it's your own money, it's quite a different thing altogether. When it's your own, you know, there's a different kind of busyness and different kind of stress and things like that. And quite often, that stress was way too overwhelming. But the big one for me that I taught from that was, you know, I always said, I've just got to be more organised when I'm at work and all that. And what you kind of said to me was, William, no, you don't. You've got to be clearer. It's not about being more organised at Fortify, it's about being more clearer with your intentions and clearer with what you want to achieve from the minute you walk in there. And so, you know, like one of the things I first instigated was having a quote of the day and getting up in the morning and saying it to myself. I sit on the side of the bed every morning and I assess where I'm at. And if I'm not in a good moment to start the day, I don't start it. I stop and I wait and I think about what is good and what are the good productive things I can do with this day, and then I step my feet on the ground. And then I take a big breath of fresh air, and then I start my day. Then I can walk in the door of my shop and my shop gets the best out of me. Then my sales were better. It's not they might have, you know, this might improve your business. It did improve my business. It improved how I looked at things. But when you say that line, can't be everything to you, you know, everything to everyone, it actually changed how I viewed my business. I went in there and realised that, you know, like, I'll be honest, you know, coming out of 2020 lockdown, our business had a lot of debt, and we had to make some really big decisions, and it was, we go at this and we make it work or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it works. We now have an amazing moment. My accountant looked at me about 3 days ago and said, "You've got a great business, and what you've achieved in 2 years is nothing short of remarkable." And so the repair of our mistakes, but that came from the learning that we had, which was you cannot be everything to everyone. I was trying to create this business, this clothing store that was this Noah's Ark that was going to be everything to everyone, but unfortunately if you try to do that, you never get the best. Whereas understanding people and understanding the things that are important to me and important to the people that walk in my doors, you know, and knowing my customers and then making it for them. That makes your business more efficient. It makes the business more enjoyable for them, for people to come into, but it makes the business more enjoyable for me as a business owner to run. And so I didn't just learn things for me, I learned massive things for the business. And that came through a lot of, you know, and I think something else I do want to touch on because before I forget, and this is where it becomes different to different, you know, and I'm not just blowing smoke here so when I say this, but it's like, I think you can have people that, you know, coaches that give you an inspiring perspective, but, you know, but if they're just telling you things, someone like me will just go in one ear and out the other. I have not got the focus for that. I'm like Dory from Finding Nemo. It's just like, if I'm not connecting to it, it's all over, mate, Red Rover. But it's like, you know, like the amount of times I've stood in here and you pressed me, and you pressed me, and you pressed me in such a positive way. You made sure I was comfortable and you made sure the learnings were coming to it, but you pressed and you pressed and you pressed until the amount of times I burst into tears. I remember every time you looked at me and you said, "Now tell me what is making you feel this way. Why are we feeling this way?" Because rather than just crying, tell me why you feel this way so we can fix it. Mm. And through the tears, and that was the hardest thing I ever did, through the tears was speaking the truth from my heart, which I think for me, I don't do. I keep it in, and I keep it, as much as I'm an extroverted person, that was the moment we had, and this really big moment we had. Every extrovert has an introvert. And every extrovert, the person that allows them to be extroverted, it's a tenderness they have to have, and it's a vulnerability you have to have. And that I have, and it was connecting with that and saying that that's okay, and just learning to use it and use it as a powerful tool to grow, and that's what we did, you know, and it's only when you're honest to yourself that you go ahead. It's only when you're honest to yourself. Yeah, and that's what it was. Mm.
Ooh, right, you've even made me cry now, like, because that's, and I think that for me, it's the joy. It's seeing the joy as people break through stuff that doesn't belong to them. And honesty, you're right. We do have to be vulnerable. We do have to be honest, but in a safe environment where. And I know it's funny because I talked to actually Emily yesterday. I interviewed her yesterday, and we've travelled 10 years together. So it's been a long journey, and not as a coach, but just as two friends who have gone through ups and downs. And one of the things that we shared I asked her, you know, what do you get from me? Why do we hang out? Because we get different things from different people. And ultimately she said, you will always tell me the truth, but in love. There's a difference between being hardcore telling people the truth, but if it comes from your heart in terms of it's about wanting the best for the other person. And I love the fact that you've just shared that in terms of how you see your business now. Instead of trying to be all things to everyone for Fortify, you go, no, actually this is my who. This is the person that I love the most in terms of the people that you serve, This is my slice of the market. This is your, and it's like, oh my goodness, the moment we switch from ourselves and we focus on the people that are in front of us, it's the most selfish thing we could ever do because we get the joy. Like, it's like, how does this work? I don't get how it works. I just love that it works.
And then, you know, and in saying that as well, like we have people, when you said you stick to your lane, you find your slice of the pie, you know, like, I find quite remarkable as well, is that when we own with confidence what we, where we are, we have identity, which I think was something which is why financially in a business like ours, we were struggling, because there was a lack of identity there, which you actually touched on with me, that you walked into the shop and you were honest, you said, I don't know what you're trying to be. And that's exactly what it was a lack of identity, but we found our identity. Now when people come into me and they say, have you got this? You know, we now get to actually show that our business was built on customer service, and it was built on joy and love of people. So now I go to people and go, I don't. But I'll tell you what, tell me again what you're looking for. And I explain it and I said, right, now you need to go down here, and you go across here, and you're going to go in there, because in there has that. I get so much joy from being able to actually say, my slice of the pie is what it is, but I'm going to give my joy to someone else that has a slice of the pie that is for that person. Yeah. And you go down there, because that person might want something that they have, but they also have things that they would like from me. But I tell you what, they'll always come back to me first. When they go looking for something, they'll come back because I cared.
And also because you were a big enough person to honour somebody else, or don't think that you've got to have it all for yourself. And I think, again, you know, that's part of the journey that we've been on. But it is, and when we come, and that leads beautifully into partly why I'm interviewing everybody or a few people that I've worked with, is because we've got a conference coming up in February, and my heart isn't that it's all about me. Look at Sally, look at Inspiring Perspective, she's amazing, because that's actually not what it's about. It's about the fruit that comes from working with me. So it's about everybody who is wanting to move, who's wanting to get on, who's wanting to make a difference in their lives. I hang out with those people. You could be an extrovert or an introvert. That doesn't matter. Yeah. But it's the heart of the biggest stuff up we have in life is when we literally are not using our potential, when we know that we're capable of more and we're not using our capacity. And watching you go from being all over the place, and you came when your business really was at its toughest moment. Like it was like, do we spray and walk away because of COVID and what had happened, or do we dig in and make this work? And you chose to dig in and make it work, and to go from something that was in the red to in the black in a very short space of time, and to have that set up, unbelievable.